oil mix. Some close to home and fairly familiar, some on the other side of the world fairly familiar, some less familiar.
Where are we going next?
I don't know.
Brilliant.
It's Indonesia. Right.
Oh, that's a challenge.
Wow, thank you everyone who got involved with suggesting dishes from Indonesia. We've taken those away, researched. We've found a great couple of dishes with a sauce. We're going to reveal the ingredients, some clues to you boys. You've got to work out what it is you're cooking, what you're making, and see if you can succeed. Are you ready?
I always like these.
I'm very
always
excited.
New.
The dishes that we are making today are pempek kapal salam, pempek gepeng, and a kuah kuko sauce. Grab the ingredients from behind you, see if you can start working it out, and I will also fetch the main part of the dish.
Right. So we're frying fish.
So we've definitely got lots of oil. Yes, I would suggest something is being deep fried. A batter or a fritter with water, egg, and 2 different flours. That and that have very different feel to them. That is almost corn flour or tapioca flour.
That is tapioca flour, Ebbers. Chef!
Whereas that one could be, thinking about that part of the world, rice, but it could also just be wheat.
So for those of you at home, this is what the finished dish should look like.
Tamarind.
And I'm guessing these are sauces.
Yeah, tamarind,
So sugar,
chilies, garlic.
The stock cube is the giveaway because it's like liquidy, maybe thicker and stuff, possibly with that. The cucumber's a bit of a curveball because it could be, you might be doing a quick pickle, Jay.
I don't know how to do one of those.
So step 1 is to make a fish cake dough.
So one thing we have done from Indonesia is bakso, which are meatballs where you pound the protein of the pork into something that's quite bouncy. Are we doing similar with the fish, a bit like Thai fish cakes?
Yes. So one of these is a fish cake, but not a breaded one as we know it. The other one is a stuffed fish cake, and then there's a sauce. Ooh. You've got your food processor there to speed things up, obviously not traditionally used, but crack on with making a slightly sticky to the touch, pounded fish cake dough.
How would you do that, Jay?
Egg and flour.
No.
No.
I think it'd be funny if you came over here, Ebbers.
I don't know about these from Indonesia, which always amazes me. It's such a huge like group of islands. But I think more Thai influence is this and these, like the seasoning of flowers with some of the tapioca starch. So they're kind of bouncy protein. You would normally pound it. We're going to blitz it.
Get started.
What I love about this format is you apply some cooking knowledge from all over the world, and over 14 years we've got quite a bit of that, into something you've never tried before, and kind of just apply it in different ways, but you also give us nice clues. Like the fact that you had the food processor there kind of led me to believe a bit like the Bankso meatballs with pork, and you've also given us water and eggs. And therefore I think the eggs might need to be cooked in the water because we now know they're not going into our batter, and where else would they go?
Stuffing them in a fish cake.
It's not going to be hot cucumber, so it's going to have to be...
We're making Scotch eggs. Indonesian Scotch eggs.
Yeah, with fish instead of meat, but yeah.
Bit of spice into our fish.
And as always, apologies if this is not traditional. A little bit of chilli, a little bit of garlic. Okay, I think this should end up as a fish paste with some of the flour, but also salty and sweet because we've been given palm sugar. And maybe the salty comes from flavoured salt like this.
Ebbers, you're bang on.
Oh.
So it would traditionally be chicken powder. We've given you a stock cube.
So it would be chicken powder even with fish?
Yeah.
The salts come from that, but it's also quite a lot of fish, so I'm also going to add that. And then maybe a tablespoon of that.
Do you think tamarind's going in the mix?
Now, I think we've got sugar and salt.
Yeah.
We've added chilli and garlic. And then I reckon we go a tablespoon of each of these until we end up with something, like you say, a dough.
What are the properties of each of those flours going to bring to the mix, do you think, Ebbers?
Remember tapioca we made pancakes with, just tapioca and water from Brazil, and it also goes crispier, I think, than a wheat flour would. Wheat flour is also crispy when it's fried, but not as crispy.
Is that slightly sticky to the touch?
If you had wet hands, I would say you could now mould this. Jay, I'm sticking with your Scotch egg analogy, because I feel like if you could wrap that round an egg, then I feel like we're in a good place. That's not dissimilar, albeit not as fatty, as a minced pork. It smells great. Get a small pan out. Let's fry a little bit off. I would always say if you're making a batch of anything, fry off a little bit and test it for seasoning. Because you're right, Jay, this is raw fish, whilst it's probably okay.
This is great, lads. This is really great watching this happen.
Question is, Jay, tamarind cucumber vinegar we've got left.
I mean, that feels like a lovely quick pickle.
With more garlic and chilli, probably.
Pempek is a fish cake made from fish and tapioca. And unlike many of the dishes that we experience in this series, we can trace this to a direct origin and location.
Amazing.
Not necessarily the history of how it came about, but we know where it came from. Palembang in the South Sumatra region, and Pempek has become a symbol of that city.
Okay.
So you are eating from a specific region and the regional dish from that city. You're getting a taste of Indonesia if you get it right. But it's become super popular and obviously spread throughout the country and the islands, and is a really cool one. As soon as we saw it, we're like, we've got to get cooking this.
And I'm guessing as it spreads, it adapts and tweaks and people personalise it a little bit. Do we think people are as precious about this and its origins as other cities that have iconic dishes like Valencia?
Comment below.
This series, we can never get it right because we're literally going in blind. We're trying to celebrate it without knowing much about it.
We're trying to challenge you and to celebrate a dish. I won't let you go too off kilter.
Well, already, the crispiness from the tapioca flour is lovely.
Happy with the seasoning?
It tastes delicious. I've got no idea if it's right, but it is great.
What does it taste like?
It is the right level of salty. It's got a little perfume of garlic and a little warmth of chili. None of those are overpowering, and actually the fish is the predominant flavour. The tapioca gives it a lovely crunch and texture. And I think we could mould it around egg. It just depends on what form these take.
So you got your fish cakes, your pempek. Do you want to just cook those off?
I'm going to slightly tapioca my hands because I think that'll make life easier. And I reckon they're like small starter shapes. So they could be flat pellets,
Yep.
hockey pucks.
Yep.
I don't know, I've never been.
Should we do a few?
Just a few.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, like that, I think that would you'll struggle to cook through before overcooking the outside. So I think there should be a flatter version or an elongated version.
And you want to go, what sort of size do you want to go?
Thumb size, my thumbs.
So traditionally, these are cooked two ways. They are boiled traditionally and then fried. And do you think maybe that step is what stopped you from overcooking them in the fryer when they go into the oil?
Yeah, maybe. Although you still, again, poach rather than boil because you still don't really want to boil fish proteins. But okay, that'll do. 3 of 3.
Yeah.
And then we'll save enough to
To do our eggy ones.
Our fish are well seasoned. Okay, so we've got the salt and the sugar in here. The water isn't. Don't know if it ought to be, but I think there's enough salt in these that it's probably not a problem.
Yeah. My favourite thing about these videos is knowing that there's probably people screaming in the comments because we've done something wrong.
But this is the part of the challenge.
I know. I know.
If we just gave you a recipe, we'd be basically cooking from a recipe.
And we'd still get people screaming in the comments
Exactly.
telling us we're doing it
We
wrong.
might as well make it fun to watch and have all the screaming at the same time.
These are firmed up, as you'd expect of proteins, and now we're making crispy. I think it will sizzle a lot because they're slightly wet going into hot oil.
I love your covering all bases with different shapes. Well played. Smart work.
And then from our learning, we're drained again from oil.
Boys, look at those.
Straight off the bat, why don't we use more tapioca starch
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the cooking that we are familiar with? Because it has done amazing things to this. These are so crispy so quick, and yet hopefully that kind of bouncy fish cake inside.
But you also get the darker colour, which sometimes you don't get when you use corn flour. So you got your pempek. Should we now move on to your pempek kapal salam?
Where are we putting the egg is my biggest question.
Could, just an idea, you could form a little pouch, a little coin purse, and just crack the egg straight in and seal
Oh
it.
my goodness.
Raw.
Please. Yes.
Yes.
Let's do it. Wow.
Do you want my
I think
hand?
we do one each and then we'll judge whose is best.
So the recipe guide that we found was that you want to form around 10 centimetre sized discs.
I've never made an egg cup in my hand out of fish.
The thing I'm really trying hard to do is make sure it's even.
Eggers. Oh, he's in!
Oh, that was a lot.
That was so much.
Whilst our little crispy things work quite nicely, as soon as you start to shape it, they weren't really behaving, to be fair, like a dough, which is what you said. It's more of a fish paste. So we've doubled the amount of flour, blended up again, and see where we end up this time. Back to the reason I love tapioca flour is its texture and it's kind of the way it behaves.
So if you were to like empanada that, almost gyoza, crimp along the top.
I've started crimping. I've left a lovely little
It's looking good.
Oh yeah, Jay.
I like what you've done there.
little bit of egg. Little bit of egg. Not too much egg. Little bit of egg.
Yes, Bath. That's what we're talking about.
Nicely done.
Oh, I've got holes. I've got holes.
Oh, you started so well.
I've got holes.
Mine's huge.
I mean,
Yes, Ebbers. Well done, lads.
Right, now we've got the knack of it, as is always the case. You're a bit uneasy first time round. Beyond that, you get more practice, more confidence.
I'm gonna pull mine out, give it a little dry, and then we'll go into the oil.
So whilst we know the location origin, the actual creation story is murky. Some say this dish was inspired by Kelesan dishes, which consist of pounded or mashed fish proteins. Others say it has roots back to a Chinese dish, which is essentially wrapped in tofu.
What doesn't surprise me is just how much of Indonesian cuisine uses fish, given the thousands and thousands and thousands of islands that make up Indonesia.
Last one coming out. In that case, should I get going on some sauce?
Yeah.
A bit of the liquid stuff. It's water. White rice vinegar.
Ooh.
Oh, you're going whole.
A lot of dipping sauces, based like Vietnam, would have it all chopped up. Question is the tamarind, whether this has still got any stones in it or whether it's just the pulp.
What flavour does tamarind give off, Ebbers?
A fruity sourness. It reminds me of dates and vinegar kind of together. It's kind of a similar profile to like a sour you'd expect from like a lime, but
the molasses.
more
Yeah.
sticky and more datey than citrus.
Cheers.
Super sour.
Oh, sugar. Oh, sugar. Do we want palm sugar? I've got some.
A little bit, because
Yep.
at the moment we've got the acid and we've got the tangy fruit of tamarind, so I think we want the sugar to balance it all out.
So what's in your sauce, Jay?
Water, chili, garlic, tamarind, rice wine vinegar in the sauce with a little bit of palm sugar as well.
The only thing missing would be, I would have imagined something like soy, but we haven't been given any, so just salt.
Are you excited for this, boys?
I'm really looking forward to the eggy fish cakes.
I'm looking forward to the cross-section.
For me, it's the texture I can't wait to properly eat, because obviously we tried that tiny little sample, but once it's bigger and with the egg in the middle, I'd love to know what that's going to end up like.
You have your pempek kapal salam. You have your kuah kuko sauce. Reducing. Let's serve it all up, cut into it, and give it a try. And we'll also show you what it's supposed to look like. Boys, would you like to see what this should have looked like?
I mean, yes.
Oh, wow.
They look a bit doughier.
Yeah.
Should we cut into them and see what it looks like inside?
Cut into them and let's have a look. And there you go.
We got a cross section.
Fishy paste with scrambled egg inside.
I think that is pretty close.
And then they actually look like they're all kind of cut up into pieces.
Yep, and then arranged.
And then kind of just dipped. I think the texture of this is going to be fascinating.
I want a big one. Just dip it in.
I'm not going to go for a dip first.
Because they're firmer than
Oh, yeah, good point. I'll go back for another one.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Definitely got that bounce. Flavour's really nice.
Definitely fishy.
I think it could have been a bit thinner, but that aside, the flavour is great. It's got the bounce of what I already know to be a Thai fish cake, but that's just protein. This has also got the doughness to it, which makes it a cross between a dumpling and a Thai fish cake.
But you've got the crispy outside, bouncy spongy layer, and then scrambled egg texture. On top of it tasting fantastic.
And not just that, but it's the act of folding it and shaping it. Like any gyoza or dim sum, a Cornish pasty, an empanada, like every nation has something that has things delicately fold inside of it. I've never heard of these and I love them.
For me, I think even if we were following a precise recipe, it still would have been a real challenge to get your head around pouring raw egg into a pocket of dough.
Yeah, it was great to watch.
And I think if we had the chance to do it again, I think you'd probably roll the dough a bit thinner still. And actually, the clue was the fish dough, not a fish paste, which is where I think our minds were to
said
start
it
off with.
47
I know you did. Selective hearing.
Well, shall we spin for Jay? Not
Me.
you, the letter.
Not many to spin between for Jays.
Let's go. Japan, Jordan, and Jamaica.
And a couple of spin agains. Typical.
This one could take a while.
Only 2 spin agains. Anything else will do. Where in the world are we going? We're off to Jordan.
Jordan! Well, I know nothing.
I know the region. I don't know specific dishes from this
I thought it
country.
was a capital, not a country.
Cut.